Hi, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision as to whether or not you want to spend time or money or both sometimes watching a specific film. So better late than never is my motto. I could have sworn I filmed this movie review earlier because I saw this like 2 weeks ago and I'm finally getting around to filming it. The movie I'm reviewing today is called Blue Beetle. The newest superhero movie by Warner Brothers Pictures is now in theaters. It was originally only going to be available on Max, formerly HBO Max. So I'm so glad that more people are going to be able to see it. And it's awful fun to watch a superhero movie in the movie theater with that movie theater popcorn, right? So the film is PG-13 and it's 2 hours and 7 minutes long because Marvel doesn't know how to do a short movie anymore. The movie review mom grade I'm giving it is, drum roll, a B plus. I actually really enjoyed this. I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and then didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, funny lines, interesting lines, and recommendations for other films that I instantly thought of while I was watching this one. So first, in a nutshell, an alien scarab beetle chooses Jaime or Jamie Reyes to be its symbiotic host, bestowing the recent college graduate with a suit of armor that's capable of extraordinary powers, superhero powers, forever changing his destiny as he becomes the superhero known as Blue Beetle. Dun, dun, dun. The film was directed by Angel Manuel Soto and written by Gareth Dunnet-Alcocer. So here's a list of things that I really liked about this movie. First of all, I noticed Solo Maridueña in the Netflix TV show Cobra Kai, where he does a fantastic job. He's excellent in this role and has a very bright future in film. I loved him in the TV series, and so it's so great to see that he's capable of carrying a full feature film. I'm so happy for him and for his success. So his character features a scrappy, naive element to the superhero genre, much like Spider-Man has done for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Other cast members include Academy Award winner Susan Sarandon, comedian George Lopez, Harvey Guillen, Belissa Escobedo, Adriana Barraza, Damian Alcázar, Becky G, Elpidia Carrillo, Bruna Marquezine, and Raul Max Trujillo. They all do a great job. And how did I do pronouncing all of those names? Clearly, there is a Hispanic thread in this whole movie. I'll get to that in just a second. But all of these actors really brought these characters to life. All of the characters are clearly defined and just really entertaining. The grandma character is hilarious and awesome, and just one of many characters that is fun to watch. DC Studio CEO James Gunn ultimately decided that the Blue Beetle character would be disconnected from the DC universe. That being said, we see the name LexCorp on a tower from the Superman movies. We also see Jaime or Jamie wearing a Gotham Law hoodie from the Batman movies. Now, Final Fantasy video game fans will get a kick out of the scene where Jamie creates the Buster Sword as his weapon of choice. Now, if you don't play Final Fantasy, it's just going to look like a sword, no big deal. And I don't play the video game either, but I'm just saying it's there. So we're introduced to Mexican culture. The Latino population will love seeing one of their own featured as a superhero. One of the Hispanic characters dies, something that the DC studio actually pushed for in order to make the movie more emotional. Angel Manuel Soto or Angel didn't want to do that, but later saw that as an opportunity to share how the Mexican culture views death and celebrates their ancestors. If you've ever heard of Day of the Dead, which is November 1st, the day right after Halloween, they do this whole thing. Anyway, you've got to see the movie Coco, which is a super sweet, awesome animation that also shows that Mexican culture celebration of death and life. Anyway, back to this movie. Family is definitely at the heart of this movie. It's what gives the film both the soul and humor. And about that Hispanic element, I actually was an exchange student in Mexico many, many years ago. And I love the Latino population. I speak Spanish fluently. I've lived in Spain and Mexico and have traveled through Puerto Rico and all over Mexico. And let's see, where else? Spanish speaking Colombia. Anyway, it's a wonderful culture. I know that's different than Mexico. But anyway, there is some Spanish spoken. I'll get to some tips for parents here in just a second. The humor that has been one of the magical elements of the success of Marvel movies, and where DC movies has often failed for the most part, is incorporated in this film. There is humor. This movie taps into the natural humor of a crazy Mexican family and gives it all of the charm that DC movies need to level up to Marvel. The town of Palmera City is fictitious, much like Gotham City, just in case you were wondering. And fun fact number one, maybe that's number two, Roberto Gomez, son of the original Chapulin actor Roberto Gomez Bolaños, voices a radio transmission in this film. I thought that was sweet. I love that when they really try to grab other people who have their finger in the history of what's going on in this film. So the movie has a lot of entertaining Easter eggs to look for. For example, in Spanish, we hear someone announce on TV that, quote, Bruce Wayne bought Twitter, end quote, which I just thought was hilarious. I remember seeing Sábado Gigante on TV when I was younger and sailed through TV channels. So in one scene in this movie, we see it playing on a TV in the background. And I just love that because that's such a strong part of especially TV in Hispanic culture, Mexican culture specifically. So this happens to be the 14th movie in the DC extended universe. One element that I really loved was when the Blue Beetle is able to truly understand a bad guy's perspective, which is unique. And that is that hurt people hurt people. So if only we all took the time to really understand rather than judge and react others when they do something wrong without knowing the full story, we just simply don't know the full story. So keep watching during the rolling credits for another scene like all good superhero movies should have. Now, that being said, there were a few things that I didn't like or just thought could have been done differently or better. For example, because of Xolo Maridueña's work, and I know I'm not saying that name correctly, in Cobra Kai, we know that he has some serious karate skills. Yet they were sadly underutilized in this movie. His physicality and skills could have been a real highlight. He's not much of a superhero throughout most of the movie. He just sort of bumbles his way through fights and gets beat up or tries to run away. But it would have been nice to see him use some of the skills we know he has in real life. There's so much CGI in the movie. Sometimes it's fine and sometimes it's very noticeable and even distracting. There's so much screaming going on. Now, Latinos are very emotional and animated, and so that is definitely true to their character, but there's just a lot of screaming going on. Sadly, the villain in the story is not that compelling, I didn't think. And ultimately, there are two, and I think that I'm going to say that that's true for both of those villains. Just didn't get super worked up about either one of them. The movie itself is extremely cliched with sometimes very wooden, surprisingly, dialogue. The movie is very predictable. I mean, I guess all superhero movies are. And sometimes the Blue Beetle's suit's robot capabilities work, but other times it's silent and it doesn't help him with that female robot voice that usually does help him. So I didn't quite understand the inconsistencies other than, I guess mechanical IT software programs, difficulties, I don't know. Let me give you some tips for parents since kids are definitely going to be interested in watching this. First of all, as I mentioned, there's a lot of Spanish spoken, but most of the time with subtitles. There is a surprising amount of profanity in English and in Spanish. There is superhero fighting, of course. That means lots of destruction, lots of violence. Talk of a parent who died in the past, of course. Most kid movies have that. Someone in the family dies a sad, unexpected death. There are some blood splatters, which is not typical for a lot of superhero movies. We see a flashback of a child kidnapping and a bug farts. Kid movie. So some of the themes that are illustrated very well are that family can be our superpower. And I love that message. There's discussion of rich versus poor, undocumented immigrants, and legacy and family legacy and supporting a community. So whenever I watch movies, I write notes, and specifically, I write down interesting lines and funny lines, and I want to share them with you. I have them all on my written review at moviereviewmom.com, but I'll share a few of the interesting lines with you. There was humor in the movie, but as I looked at my notes, I realized I didn't write down anything that really caught my eye that was funny or made me laugh out loud, I guess. One of the lines is spoken by Alberto Reyes, who's played by Dunnet-Alcocer. And he says, "We're on a journey, Jamie," which is true for everybody in life, right? But with him, as he's discovering who is this Blue Beetle character and how does this all work? And it absolutely affects the entire family. And then another line that he says is the familia, which means family. The familia. That's forever. That's what lasts. And that is the lasting message of the movie. You know, villains come and go, even friends come and go, but family is blood. Family lasts forever. All right, so let me give you some recommendations for some other films I instantly thought of as I was watching this that I think you're also going to like. The first one is Max Steel, that came out in 2016. And I guess I thought of it because it has to do with a robot and a kid and overcoming personality fears and developing courage and, you know, family and that kind of stuff. Another one is Spider-Man Homecoming, really almost any of the Spider-Man movies, simply because Spider-Man is a young teenage hero trying to figure it all out. And I liked that element of this superhero. He's a young kid. And then the last recommendation is called Kick. Now, I don't swear, so I'm not going to say that word, but it's an A and an S and an S. It came out in 2010, and I think there are two of them, maybe three, but I think two. Anyway, really fun movies. And again, it's some younger kids coming up with their own superhero abilities and costumes and fighting evil. And it's just kind of a good fun time. And there's lots of humor and goofy slapstick and that kind of stuff. All right, I hope you enjoy this movie. If you've seen it already, comment down below. Let me know what you thought and which movie you think has the best superhero. And are you DC or are you Marvel? Which one? I'm personally a Marvel girl all the way, but I did enjoy this movie. All right, that's it. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.